On LinkedIn, there's a way in which actually going smaller can make you bigger and wealthier. And in this video, we're going to cover exactly how and why that can be the case. But I want to start off by diagnosing the generalist problem. Now, you might be in a situation where you basically help everyone with everything: business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants. You do their marketing, sales, strategy, ops, whatever they need. And because you're a generalist, you're competing with thousands of people who do the exact same thing. So no one's actually seeing you as an expert. You're just another option, which basically makes you invisible and also interchangeable. Now, this is the generalist problem, and it's fundamentally killing your business because when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up becoming nothing to no one. So the question becomes, well, what is a micro niche? Now, a micro niche is a tiny specific segment of the market, and it's really defined by three main things: the industry, role, and problem. So an example of a micro niche could be, I help SaaS founders with 1 to 5 million in ARR to fix their sales process. Now, instead, compare that to, I help businesses with sales. You can see the first one, that's a micro niche because it's specific, it's narrow, and it's clear who you help and actually what problem you solve for them. Whereas the second is much more generalist positioning. It's vague, it's broad, and it really could apply to anyone. So when you niche down to a micro niche, you stop competing with everyone and you start dominating a tiny segment. So the question becomes, well, why does micro niching work so well on LinkedIn? Well, first of all, LinkedIn's algorithm rewards specificity. So when your content speaks to a specific audience, the algorithm then shows it to that audience, versus when your content is generic, the algorithm just doesn't even know who to show it to. The second thing is that your content speaks directly to a specific audience. So when someone in your micro niche actually sees your content, they think, well, this is for me. This person actually gets my exact problem. The third thing is you become the obvious expert in that niche. So when you're the only person on LinkedIn talking to SaaS founders with 1 to 5 million in ARR about fixing their sales process, you then own that niche. And finally, because it's a smaller audience, you're going to find you're going to have higher conversion. You won't actually need 1 million followers. You maybe need 500 to 1,000 people in your micro niche who then see you as an expert. So now let's address what the fear is typically of niching down. The first fear is, well, what if I lose opportunities? Well, the thing is, you're already losing opportunities because you're invisible. When you niche down, you actually become visible to the right types of people. The second fear is, well, what if the niche is actually too small? So if there's 10,000 people in your micro niche and you only need 10 to 20 clients per year, then that niche is actually big enough, so you don't need to worry about that. The third fear is, well, what if I get bored, right? And you can always expand later. Right now, you just need to dominate a micro niche to build authority and revenue. Now, it's these fears that are actually keeping you broke, so you need to let them go. So I want to walk you through what is basically classified as a micro niche formula, because there's three main components to it. Now, the first one is your industry. So think about, who do you serve? Is it SaaS companies, consulting firms, e-com brands, for example? The second component is the role. So what is their title? Are they a founder, the VP of sales, marketing director? The third component is the problem. So what specific problem do you actually solve? Is it fixing their sales process? Is it building a LinkedIn pipeline? Is it scaling their team? And then you want to put it all together, which is basically, I help industry, role, solve, problem, right? So for example, I help SaaS founders fix their sales process. That then becomes your micro niche because it's specific, it's clear, and it's narrow. So how do you actually go about choosing your micro niche? Now, the first step here is to look at your past clients. Who actually got the best results? What industry were they in? And what roles did they have? The second step is to think about, what industry or role do you actually enjoy working with the most? Because you're going to be talking to the audience every day, it's worthwhile trying to actually enjoy it. The third step is to think about what problem you're uniquely qualified to solve. So really, what's your zone of genius? What do you do better than anyone else? Now, your micro niche basically should be at the intersection of these three things: the best results, enjoyment, and you having a unique qualification. So let me show you the riches in the niches principle. Generalists would charge $5,000 to $10,000 per project, and they're competing on price because they're interchangeable. Whereas niche experts charge $15,000 to $30,000 per project. They're more specialized, so they can actually charge more. Now, micro niche authorities will charge $50,000 to $100,000 per project. They're the only person who actually does what they do for that specific audience, so it allows them to charge more premium rates, right? So the narrower you go, the higher you can basically charge. And this is why people often say that the riches are in the niches. Now, here's a visibility advantage when it comes to micro niching. If you're a generalist actually helping just businesses with marketing, you're competing with 10,000 other people on LinkedIn. But if you're helping these SaaS founders between 1 to 5 million in ARR fix their sales process, you might only be competing with anywhere from 10 to 50 people. And when you consistently show up with valuable content for that micro niche, that means you're going to dominate it and you become the only choice. Now, this is the visibility advantage. So instead of being invisible in a crowded market, you become the obvious expert in a tiny market. Now, the content advantage of micro niching is based around the fact that a generalist content might say something like 5 tips for growing your business, and this could apply to anyone. It's really vague and it can get ignored easily. Whereas micro niche content, it could say something like why SaaS founders with 1 to 5 million in ARR are losing deals in the demo stage and how to fix it. So you can see this is specific, because when a SaaS founder with 3 million in ARR sees this, they're going to stop scrolling. They're going to think, well, this is exactly my problem. So specific content gets higher engagement and higher conversion, and this is the content advantage. Now, here's also the authority advantage of micro niching, because when you only talk about one audience or about one specific problem, you become the recognized expert in that particular niche. So people start referring to you as the person for that particular problem. So again, if you're a SaaS founder struggling with your sales process, you need to talk to, and it will be your name. So this is where you actually have authority, and authority actually means premium pricing, because when you are the authority, you're not going to compete on price, you set the price. So the question then becomes, well, how do you actually dominate your micro niche? Now, the first step is to update your profile. So this includes your headline, your about section, your experience section. Everything should reflect your micro niche. The second step is to post content that speaks only to that niche. So every post should address their specific problems, their challenges, and goals. The third step is then to connect with at least 500 people in that niche. So use LinkedIn search to find them and then send personalized connection requests. And then the fourth step is to engage with their content daily. So leave thoughtful comments on their posts, just get on their radar, and within 90 days, you'll find that you will own that niche and you'll become the recognized expert with all clients coming to you. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, what if I want to expand later? And the great thing is you absolutely can and you should, but the expansion strategy will come over time. And the first step in doing that is, of course, to start with your micro niche, dominate that, go narrow. Then over dominating that for maybe 6 to 12 months, you really want to build authority, build revenue, and build some real social proof. And then the third step is then to expand to adjacent niches. Once you've dominated one micro niche, then you can expand to a related niche as well. But don't expand too early. Most people expand before they've dominated their micro niche, and then they end up back to where they started, which is invisible and interchangeable. So dominate first and then expand later. Once you do that, you're going to become visible, you'll be seen as the authority, and you'll be able to charge 3 to 5 times more because you're no longer competing with generalists. Finally, you can also go from competing with thousands to actually dominating a tiny market, and this is the power of this strategy. Now, this is a small part of the type of thing that we cover here at Influx as a part of our Influx Autopilot system, where we work with clients to generate qualified leads on autopilot through LinkedIn while guaranteeing at least $50,000 in net new pipeline within 90 days or less. So if you want a bit more of a breakdown around the frameworks and the strategies that go into that, I've left a link in the description box below of this video, which walks you through exactly how we go about being able to generate qualified leads on autopilot through for our clients through building authority on LinkedIn. So again, I've left a link in the description box below of this video. If you also found this particular video helpful, please do take a second to like it, to leave a thoughtful comment, to share it, and subscribe to the channel, as we have so much more coming. I hope you find it helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.